Struggling to discuss sex and intimacy with your partner?
Not feeling met, seen, or heard in your relationships?
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Andrea. We're two midlife mavericks sharing our own experiences.
Messy AF and no regrets.
With marriage, divorce, polyamory, and pleasure.
We've learned that when you're brave enough to figure out what you want and ask for it,
with partners, friends, family, and most importantly, yourself,
you'll feel more alive and free.
Question everything, especially your mother's advice.
There's no rom-com formula for this, but don't panic.
Being alone matters. Honey, I can't miss you if you don't leave.
What if your breakup could be your breakthrough?
Our podcast is for brave hearts.
Anyone who seeks or has found the courage to confront their fears and limiting beliefs about breaking societal norms in the spirit of finding their truth.
If you're seeking permission to be brave in your relationships
and want to feel less alone along the way, we got you. Okay, Bravehearts, we've got another, I want to say juicy, loving,
radiant,
compassionate.
So full of love, this guy, Keith. Wow. Mm-hmm. I just learned that maybe I should weave dancing and singing into my morning prayer. Maybe that is a way to talk to the universe.
Mm-hmm. He has just this summer jumped off the diving board as a result of an accident to live his fullest expression of himself. And I'm so proud of him. His courage is such an inspiration for all of us listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he has spread God's word in many ways as a pastor in Russia, on the streets of Baton Rouge,
in the Middle East, in Qatar,
Fuddruckers and Qatar, spreading so much love, and now he's listening to both himself and God, and we get to benefit. Coming up. Hi, Bravehearts. Welcome to another episode of Permission to Be Human. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is the next installment of our Season 5, How to Build a Relationship with God, with Spirit, with the higher being, with the universe, with the cooperative, what did the last person call it? Cooperative energies. Cooperative beings. I love that. So we all call it something different, but it's been a journey to listen to so many different perspectives on building that relationship. And I'm excited. Today we have Keith Major, and he is actually, I can tell already, he is a Burning Man friend of Janelle's. So we're going to get a little intro about Keith, as well as, let's just pop in a quick story about Burning Man too.
Yes. Keith Major is a former pastor and now a trained sex and happiness coach who lives in Los Angeles. Growing up Catholic, turned Baptist, back to Catholic. He wasn't allowed to dance. Now in his 50s, he's passionate about all kinds of movement, including ecstatic dance, 5 rhythms, and freeform. And yes, Keith and I met 2022 in Costa Rica at a Tantra retreat. Oh. But we have also seen each other. We camped together at Dark Heart I think it was 2022 as well. And have danced together on many a dance floor in a Burning Man. And he is such a heart-led human. It's pretty spectacular. And I'm so grateful, Keith, to have you on our podcast today.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
A heart-led human who is a trained sex and happiness coach. Amazing. So I'm hearing, Janelle, you met Keith when you were visiting me in Costa Rica and going to the going to the retreat in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't.
Yeah. And he and I connected shamanically, magically, over the fact that both of us had this deep Catholic background.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, this is such a meant to be. You were connecting about Catholicism in Costa Rica at your Tantra retreat.
Yep.
I can't wait to hear.
Here to heal. We were there to heal.
Yes. So Keith, what do you call this higher being? What's your name that you use?
I mean, all my life I called him God, but when I was a pastor, I didn't want to ruffle people's feathers, and I've never been afraid of non-Christians. Seems like there's a lot of Christians that are afraid of, like, don't go to Burning Man because the demons will jump on you. It's a pagan festival. And so,
Wow.
that was my fear. Well, I never went. I only went in 2022 because someone gave me a ticket like the week before. But even up until then, I'm like, that sounds scary. That's something that you shouldn't do because you can open yourself up to things. But I wouldn't go to like places, but I would meet people and I wanted to talk their language. So, I know some people would call it, the universe or different things. So I just tried to be trilingual or bilingual and just like, how do they express God? Because if I would pray with someone as a pastor who wasn't a Christian, I know if I would say the word Jesus, they might get like, oh, okay, stop praying. I don't want that. So I would just pray like, oh, Creator, be with Betsy or, and of course that was kind of neutral, and I know who I'm talking about. So whether it be universe, the Creator, God, just use those words interchangeably.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I like this creator word. Love it.
Yeah.
So how did you first start building a relationship with Creator, Keith?
I was Catholic until I was 8. And when I was 7, my dad started to attend some Catholic charismatic meetings at the parish. And they were open to the Holy Spirit. And here's these Catholics praying in tongues and praying for sick people and doing the stuff that Jesus did, and so I was just watching. I'm like, okay, so you could have this prayer. Like, so I prayed. And yeah, they really leaned into like, you could hear God for yourself. And so for me, I, as an 8-year-old, I'm like, okay, I could. So I would pray, and I prayed very specific prayers. My parents left the Catholic Church and became Baptist, and that was kind of like a charismatic Baptist church too. And same thing, I went to the school as well, and you couldn't listen to rock music, couldn't dance, so it's kind of like a footloose thing. But like, so I grew up listening to only Christian music. And I listened to so many, it's almost like we call it praise and worship. So basically what I would learn how to do is like how to sing to God. So that was, to answer your question, is I would sing my prayers to God. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like almost a two-way thing happening, because I would sing prayers to him and I could kind of hear downloads from him, even from my junior high, elementary school years, high school years. And I thought that was normal.
Okay. So I want to note that you said someone told you can hear God yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which I think is just it's an interesting line, because it's saying, no, you have a direct line to God. Like, you don't have to go through a priest. You don't have to go through, like, you can talk to him directly. So just getting that message early on. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
And then this influx of music, which is like such an important part of my life, is beautiful, that this was your channel with God. Is that right?
Yeah. I would be a teenager and have a guitar strapped around my neck and just play chords and just sing spontaneously, whatever came to my mind. And when I would sing it, it would last longer. So I would like pray for 30 minutes. Sometimes I'd pray for an hour with my guitar strapped on me, and I'm just playing along.
Wait, I somehow, is there any prayer you feel right now?
Yeah. Can you sing one for us, please? I would love it.
Sing one right now.
Right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Lord. You putting me on the spot. Look at you guys.
Yeah, totally. Take a breath. Take a minute.
Is this a song to God or the song to the listeners about God?
Whatever you want it to be.
Whatever comes to me. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Oh God, I thank you for the open doors you give us, for the synchronicities and the divine appointments that help make us grow, that help us know more about you, that help us deeper in our healing, to help us find our purpose, to show us how to love. Help us be vessels of love, open and pure. Open our eyes to see the world the way you do. So if you can, put like contact lens in my eye so I can see the way you do. And give me the courage and the grace to walk it out in fullness. And thank you for loving me. Uh-huh. I don't know.
So good. Oh, so beautiful, so earnest.
Mm-hmm. So courageous on
Thank
so many
you.
levels. Yeah.
So vulnerable.
Like the definition of a brave heart right there, put on the spot.
You know,
Oh my gosh.
This was just karma because I would put people on the spot because I told people like when you would pray for them, you know, like I'm like, hey, touch them, but first ask for consent. Like, hey, you know, can I put my hands on your shoulders and pray for you? And so they would, and of course that's a stretch for people to like lay hands on people and pray for them. But people need touch, you know. If Jesus did it, why can't I do it? You know, he says, you know. But I would challenge people like, hey, you know what would be deeper is if you sing your prayer over them and people would just look at me like, are you kidding me? Like, that's scary as heck. And I'm like, yes, but I tell you, the times that I've sung prayers over people, I would just see tears come down their eyes because it just kind of like, it was like so vulnerable and it just pierced their hearts. It just went deeper. And so I taught hundreds and hundreds of people how to just sing prayers over people. And now you put me in a spot. I'm like, oh wow, that's was I ready for that? You know, but of course, you never know when these opportunities pop up, and you have to do it and sing your prayer over people.
Wow, what an
The
impact you've had.
The funny thing is though, with Janelle saying like through movement, it's now evolved to like, wow, could I dance my prayer over you? And there's times that I'm just like, with song and with movement, that's my prayer now. So it's kind of evolved, but still I sing.
Wow, I'm blown away. Like I'm just like, oh, I'm like, could I just like dance my prayer?
Yeah, you can.
Right? Because I love to dance and I love to sing.
Think about it. Like when they say like 80% of communication is body language.
This is true.
Like, you know, I could send a text, but it would be easier to send a voice message so you can hear the tonation in my voice.
Yeah.
You know, versus like, but that's just you hearing me. But like if you see me via Zoom, you're like, oh, I hear his voice and the intonation and the body language. So in a way, just think of like when you're moving, your body language says so much. So if you want to dance a prayer with me, go ahead. You know, I might receive that more because that's way more vulnerable than a song even. Or do both.
Oh my gosh, here we go. Here we go. I'm totally dancing my prayers over Keith right now. And you, Andrea. Just, loving.
This is right. I love it. And what's coming to me is what I'm going to, as part of my script for an upcoming presentation, it's like, may I be empty and open to receive the light. May I be empty and open to receive. This is what's been playing in my head for the last week. And yeah, I think that could be my, like every morning. I just did it this morning for the first time. I just like did that line of the song. clearly
Wow, okay.
I was supposed to talk to you today.
And Keith, I want you to know that what you just inspired, because Andrea has never sung on the podcast before.
Really?
No,
Wow.
I guess not.
Well, I will have to say this to you because, like, I realized right when you sang, I'm like, it's harder to sing a cappella. But if I had my guitar on me and I've already strummed a few songs, I know that the chord progression and it's just easier. But like when I was just making it up as I go, I'm like, oh man, I don't have a guitar to follow with. So anyway. So kudos, you did it without any instrument. You know, could you imagine how much easier it will be with an instrument?
It's true. It's true. I'm used to doing it without an instrument because I'm part of a choir. But I never sing by myself. Like I haven't done any solos. So, but I just feel, I guess you inspired my confidence, obviously. So I'm just like, oh, he's singing. I can sing too. That's what. So,
one thing on that.
Go ahead.
I don't think there's been one time that when I taught people how to sing their prayer, that every time everyone was beautiful, even when it was out of tune or off pitch, I would just look at the person. I'm like, wow, that's sweet and very courageous, you know. And there's never been a bad song out of pitch or out of tune.
So I mean, I would say both. Well, I mean, Janelle and I both have our own kind of stories about song and dance and singing in our voice and finding that. But I'm curious, Keith, what is your story around that? When did you start singing or playing the guitar? And was there anything you had to overcome to do that?
No, I started playing at prayer meetings when I was a teenager. And so, you know, we'd have Bible studies, and normally, you know, you sing some Christian, they call them praise and worship songs that you normally sing at like non-denominational or evangelical churches. So I'd play those, but then I'll start with something spontaneous and I'll leave it open and others could join in and spontaneously sing. And that's straight from the heart, because it's not like I'm singing songs of a song that I know. This is like, what's alive in you right now?
Yes.
Sing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it because I was probably so excited about the music. So, did this come from the Baptist side or the Catholic side?
You know what? It started with the Catholic charismatic side because they were doing this. You know, they were like, you know, this was like late 70s. So they would have like a full band on the side of the sacristy. I mean, not the well, you know, on the side where the altar is. And then whenever my parents left that to go to a Baptist church, it was very similar, but I think even my personality, just like I've always kind of had a creative kind of part to me, artist or sing.
So I'd love to hear the continuation of your journey. So you were playing these songs with the guitar, helping others find their voice with God through your teens. And what happened next?
I had a youth minister who, he's pretty clever. So he wanted us to go and evangelize other teens at a dance club. So I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So there was a dance club. And so he says, let's just hang out in the parking lot and try to evangelize these people about to go into a dance club. You know, and sin, you know, so, or maybe we could catch them before they go in and sin, or we could catch them when they come back out, you know. And so I was never the person with the megaphone saying turn or burn. I just have always been compassionate side and just like, I want to hear stories, you know. So I had a landscaping company when I was in high school. And so when I was out mowing yards, and I think in high school, I probably had about 30 clients, I'd have a little Sony Walkman and I'd have my praise and worship music in my ears, just singing, sitting on my riding lawnmower. And I would ask God, give me creative, witty icebreakers so that when I was out in the parking lot, that it wouldn't just be the same old line like, hey, if you were to die tonight, would you go to heaven or hell? Like, those are the cheesy things that you see people on the street like, oh my God, do I have to answer that question? Like, I'm not interested. Like, so scoot that aside. So even in my teenage years, I'm like, what's something creative for that person? And I just be waiting, in the parking lot, and then someone would walk by and I'm like, hey, and I would use my new icebreaker on them and we would just get into this great conversation. And I prayed for many people and they cried and they're like, I want what you have. And I'm like, okay, let me introduce them to you.
Can you give me an example of one of those icebreakers? Like, what were you saying to people? I literally was in Wash Park a couple weeks ago. It was homecoming for Denver South, my daughter's high school. And like, there's like probably hundreds of kids in the park taking pictures. And there was a guy standing with a microphone, really bad sound quality, talking about God.
Yeah.
And it felt like such a disruption kind of to the atmosphere, because it was like this tech that didn't sound very good. And then also I felt, okay, well, like, he thinks he's doing a good thing. He's trying, with compassion, and he was probably 17, he was really young. So I had this in my mind. I could see you in the park or the parking lot doing this. How did you make this better? What was something you said to someone?
I would normally, also what I would do is I would ask God to highlight them. And so a highlighter, like when you read a book and you like a sentence, you take your yellow highlighter and you highlight them. So if God would give me like these impressions, I'm like, okay, well, there's like 100 people here. Like, can you make it easier for me? Because I'm trying to do this for you. Help me out here, God. Highlight someone. And so he would, and it would just be pretty clear. So in the Christian world, we'd call it prophetic, just practicing your prophetic gift or gift of discernment or having words of wisdom or words of knowledge. And so, I remember I was with a friend, and so we were a tag team, and I'm like, man, I feel like compelled that we got to talk to that woman right there. And so he says, okay, so we're like starting to approach her, and she kind of made a turn. And they had like some people doing some tarot card readings. And so she just sat down in front of one of them. He says, we missed our opportunity. She's now on their side. And I'm like, no, she's not. Like, let's just wait for her to be done, And sure enough, when she was done, she got up and she started walking toward us. And I just approached her, and she was walking by my way. And I'm like, oh, did you just get a reading? She says, yeah. I'm like, well, how was it? She's like, yeah, it was okay. She says, why do you ask? Do you know those people, or are you a competitor? And I'm like, pfft. I said, those people wish they had what I had. And she immediately just put her hands out and she says, okay, give me a reading. And like, I don't know what to do. I've never done that before. And so I'm just like, and so I just grabbed her hands. And so again, like when God's calling me out there to like do something, I'm like, okay, God, I'm trusting you to like give me the words to say, because I don't have any words to say. And most of the times he'd say, just say the first sentence and I'll give you the rest of the paragraph. I'm like, can you give me the paragraph first? And so I felt like God was like testing my faith. He's like, and I just go like, okay, because I know he gives me the rest. So it's just testing muscles, And so I walked up to her. So as soon as I grabbed her hands, I'm like, okay, I'm not getting nothing. So if I don't have anything, what I can give you is an encouraging word. I forgot what her name was or something. Let's just say Jane. I'm like, Jane, when I look at you, I see. And like right when I was about to say something, my friend said, hey, can I stop you? Do you have pain in your shoulder right here? And she said, how'd you know? And he says, I don't know. I had this feeling in my shoulder, and usually I feel something if it's something that we need to pray for. She says, yeah, I got in a car accident. I've had pain there ever since. And so we prayed for her, and the pain kind of lessened. And she's like, who are you folks? And we just, in our conversation, she started crying, and she said, oh my God. She says, I came here because of a friend's wedding, and I don't know anyone in this town, and the reception is over, and I decided to just go dancing. And she says, as I was driving here, I asked God, if you're real, I'll give you a second chance. because her mom and dad were both in ministry and they both had affairs. And so they broke up and the ministries went down in smoke, and she saw the mess and she's like, I'm done with Christianity. And so then, she's driving to this club and she meets me and my friend, and I'm like, I am so sorry. I don't know. It was a conversation, and it was,
wow.
It was beautiful. So I'm like, well, where do you live? And so she told me where she lived. It was out of state, and I knew someone in the town. I'm like, well, let me give you the telephone number of a friend, and she'll have tea with you and introduce you to a church you can go to. And so that's just one of hundreds and hundreds of things I've done. So the thing is so I did that for a number of years, and then I moved to Russia to pastor a church there.
How then would you describe your relationship with God? Like, are you... Yeah, at this moment.
I feel that we still co-labor together. How many people have you talked to on your episodes that have seen God, touched God, heard God, felt God? And so I think we're humans and have this human experience. He's like, hey, I need to work through some of you like conduit. So are you willing to be conduit? Are you willing to be his hands, his feet, his mouth, or just a voice to go through? And so before, I think so many of my Christian friends have this phobia of like, what's God's will in my life? Because if I miss it, I miss it, And I guess my question to them now is like, what do you want to do? Because God could work with any deck of hands that any hand you're dealt with. You're like, oh, you have that? God's like, I can work with it. And so what do I want to do? And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, let's co-labor and work together. And
I see. So it sounds like you really trust. I'm hearing that you trust in what he offers you and in the words he's giving you to spread.
Yes.
Do you ever question that?
No.
In your bio, you said you're a former pastor.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're a trained sex and happiness coach.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is that your relationship to God doesn't feel like it's changed, right? That you are seeing yourself as a vessel or conduit for God's works, if you will. All that has changed is, I'll say, like the medium or the framework of which you are choosing to express God's thoughts, will. And I think it's probably based partly because you're like, oh, what do I want? So now I want to be in this realm of sex and happiness, which is not the realm of pastoring. And so, but God's still here.
In a way, I feel like I still pastor and I still build communities. It just doesn't have the name church on it. Because when I moved to Russia when I was 21, I helped friends smuggle in 100,000 Bibles into the Soviet Union. And when we're handing them out, these Russians are like, God. Are you just going to give us these Bibles and leave? Like, who's going to teach us this, And so I volunteered to stay. And so we had a church of about 2,000 people within 6 months. And I'm like, oh my God, I did not expect this, but I guess I was kind of wired for it. So I ended up helping start 3 churches. And so it's building communities from scratch. And so I did work for, up until COVID time, I worked for the Catholic Church in the Archdiocese of LA. So I directly reported to my bishop, who I love dearly. And so I was helping him build things. And whenever COVID happened and they just shut down the church for a year, like there was like no mass for a year, it was kind of like my first sabbatical in like a decade. And so during that time, the primary book I read most of my life till I was 49 was the Bible. Because I was led to believe all of your answers are in the Bible until I went back to grad school, and one of my professors was a clinical psychologist, and he says, you might need to go to therapy, because I described my marriage to him. After I had my first therapy session, I consumed 25 psychology books. And like that first year, I'm like, I stuck them down, and then I would have coffee with my bishop, and I'm like, Bishop, oh my God, there's so many pastors and priests practicing without a license. He says, what do you mean, Keith? Wow. And I'm like, my God, like, as a pastor, I could hear what you have to say to me, and I could have empathy and compassion, and I can say like, oh, Andrea or Janelle, let me pray for you, but when I'm done praying, can I refer you to this person? So many Christians, because they feel like they don't hear God's voice, they so heavily lean into a pastor. Like, Pastor, what should I do? So I was telling that to my bishop, and he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, they need to start teaching psychology in seminaries. If people are going to go to confession, and like priests are going to hear confessions. And anyway, so I found that like when the church kind of shut down, people just started coming to me and like, what should I do? And I started like, let me refer you to a therapist. You need to do this, or let me pray for you. So
yeah. So I'm going to stop you for a second. I think I'm hearing that in your journey, you saw people, and including yourself, looking outside themselves for guidance. Mm-hmm. And that was probably something it sounds like you've done your whole life too. You were looking to God, and God was talking to you for a lot of your life. But now I'm hearing that in therapy, maybe you learned to go inward.
Yes.
Is that correct? And so,
yes. Yes. I think with that, to answer your question, I'm glad you brought that up, because I had so much from the church world say, like, die to your flesh, take up your cross, to a point that, the flesh is evil, and so like I so second guessed my gut and my instinct and my intuition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think what you just mentioned was like, no, trust your gut and trust your intuition. And what is it saying to you? Mm-hmm. And it might be giving you truer answers than what we're hearing from some leaders in the church.
Beautiful. So do you consider a relationship with God different than a relationship with self?
I'd say no. Because I can only give you what I have. And I remember the festival that I was at with Janelle in Costa Rica. It was like the last day, and it was my birthday. It was my 52nd birthday. And people were just around the room sharing. And like 3 people in that closing circle shared, and they're like, beepity beep the church, beep the church for all that they did. And I heard like 3 people share this, and I was just like, whew. And I'm like, no one knew I was a former pastor there. And so I was the last one to share. And I just went, hey, can I share? I'm like, hi guys. You don't know, but I'm a former pastor. And they had like, I don't know, maybe 8 people do like a silent mouth scream. They were like shaking, like venting. I'm like, oh, I hope I don't trigger anyone by saying this. And I just said, I just want to apologize as a former pastor for the things that Christians do, because, in the scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself. And most Christians don't like themselves because of shame and guilt. And so they're going to do unto you as they do unto themselves, and they're going to throw that on you. So, wow, is that what we need? More guilt, more shame, more. So I think we have to love ourselves if we love God. Because how can I love him and not love myself? But there's so many Christians like, I love God, I've sacrificed for God, I did this for God, but I am so freaking miserable. That's my story. I mean, I'm a happy-go-lucky person, but like, I was freaking miserable up until the time I was 50 years old. I'm like, something's got to change, because I've prayed for breakthrough and for answers and nothing was happening. I'm like, is there something else? And I think just something in me, just like, do some research, do some work. So, I mean, I studied psychology.
Because thank you for that connection that you just described between the relationship with self and the relationship with God. Because and now it sounds like you've built a loving relationship with yourself. Has that changed then, your relationship with God?
I feel like I'm more spiritual and tuned now than I've ever been. Because I'm trusting Keith too. I mean, so much changed when I was 50, because I said something had to change when I was 50, because I moved out of a 26-year marriage when I was 50. And then I filed when I was 51. And what took me so long was the teachings of the church. They're like, if you divorce someone, even if it's an unhealthy marriage, if you get remarried, because like I would want to get remarried, but if you get remarried, so the sin for Catholics are not divorce. The sins in the Catholic Church is like you could get divorced, but then stay single the rest of your life. Because if you get remarried and then you have sexual intimacy with your second wife, you're committing adultery and you can't have communion. And I'm like, so basically, if you get divorced and remarried, you're going to be committing adultery each time you sleep with your new spouse, and you're going to go to hell. And I'm like, I don't want to go to hell. Like, is sex worth hell? No. So I just stayed in the marriage until I was 50. I'm like, what if they're wrong? What if I don't go to hell?
Great question.
If I divorce? And I thought for myself. And if there's Christians or Catholics looking at that, please think for yourself. You are not going to go to hell for divorcing. And I mean, every case, I mean, I don't know your case, but for me, there's no judgment. And I know there's people that do judge me. And I let that suppress my happiness and joy for decades. And it's not worth it. It's not worth what they think or what the church thinks or what the priest thinks or what pastor thinks. When you're miserable and you're not loving yourself, so when you're not hitting on all cylinders, because I remember some missionaries, I remember I was in Qatar sitting at Fuddruckers restaurant talking with a bunch of missionaries there. And I said, yeah, there was a Fuddruckers there. And I'm sitting there, I was sitting there and they're like, Keith, we need you, we need you at full potential. I'm like, I feel like an 8-cylinder engine hitting on 4 cylinders. And they're like, we want Keith on 8 cylinders, what's it going to take? And they asked me the question. And I'm like, I guess pray more. I guess fast more. I need to pray more and fast more. So I did that. And it didn't solve the problem because the problem was my marriage.
So much courage that's what I was going to say. Like, wow.
Right. This is the theme that I'm hearing actually through all of these episodes on this, on building a relationship with God, is that for many, many people, it actually takes a tremendous amount of courage to find the relationship with God that is true for them, because it requires not believing what someone else has told them about what God is.
For many, many, many years. I mean, wow. Yeah, you're such a brave heart. Like you found the courage to sort of to confront those limiting fears and beliefs, to break what was your societal norm in search of your truth. It's beautiful. Do you think that having a relationship with the Creator helps you find peace in the suffering of the world, or do you think it helps you help the less fortunate?
In the book of Genesis, if we're created in God's image, it's a little bit of God in me, It's there's a lot of God in me, more than I gave myself recognition for. I I think that which is in me just would have compassion to want to help people. And like your question, is it God or is it me? It's both. It's God in me and me in God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, I know before we started this podcast, you know, you're like, I told you both that like this is the first time kind of like sharing my story, because I just been under the radar, just kind of word of mouth up until now. And you're like, take some deep breaths, you know, and like, we're all one. And that's a lovely thing, you know, that we are just one, you know, just humans, just trying to get through another day, another week, another year. And how can we make it easier on one another?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And really, the only thing worth doing is really loving. So how can we do that better?
Mm-hmm. Keith, I'd love for you to share briefly the story, right? Like as you said, like you were quite nervous getting on this podcast, but that something happened this summer where you're like, I'm not going to hide. Basically, I'm going to say this like loving heart that I have any longer.
When I share my story with people, so many people are like, when is your book going to get out? So I'm like, you know what? I need to start writing this thing down, because I think there's healing involved, and people are going to go like, oh, I think the whole thing with the Me Too movement, it gave women kind of a voice of like, oh, I'm not alone in this. I know there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of stuck Christians or stuck people. And if my story has a little bit of medicine in it to kind of like help them get over the hump, great. So I started writing that. And then in May, I was riding on my motorcycle in LA, and someone got out of the carpool lane and sideswiped me. And this is funny, you know, because I thought in the moment of my death, automatically, like, I'm going to say, oh, dear Jesus, forgive me. You know, it's like have that program in your brain, because the moment that you die, you know, at least get your sins forgiven, you know. And that did not come out of my mouth whenever a car hit me going 55. And I just knew I was about to die. Like when you hit cement going 55 and cars are going 55 behind you, most motorcyclists get hit by the cars behind them. And so the first thing when it hit me, I just went, oh shit. And my head hit the the concrete first, and I heard a snap, and then I just blanked out. I just blacked out. And then when the person behind me was a nurse, and you know, they got me to the hospital, and the doctor said, wow, you are very lucky that you only have 6 broken ribs in multiple spots, a broken clavicle, and a collapsed lung. A punctured lung, because this could have been way different. And I just felt like, oh God, you gave me a second chance, because I've been so afraid on the edge of the diving board, just looking at like the 10-foot deep water. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to jump off of that this year, like as a kid. And I'm like, oh, is this the year that I'm going to come out and do this more on the public level? And I don't know, I think that motorcycle, when I was in the hospital, it was just like, God just like, whoop, like pushed me up the diving board. And I'm like, oh, this was not as scary as I thought. And I dance a lot, and dance has been part of my healing modality of just somatic movement. And, you know, I have something on my belly. And so I said, you know what, I'm not going to dance without a shirt on, because I was a little ashamed of my body. And I tell you what, I was signed up for a 30-day Zoom dance class the month of May. And so I was in that Zoom class that morning doing my somatic dance. And then the very next day we had it. I'm in my hospital bed in the trauma unit, and I have a cast on this arm and a sling in this arm. And really all I could do is move my fingers. And my shirt was off, and I'm like, I am going to dance without my shirt. with my fingers because I am so goddamn proud of my body because it helped me survive because it's so rugged and, I don't know, it's just how I'm built. I'm like, why would I be ashamed to show this to dance, So I dance probably like 2 weeks without my shirt on. I'm like, I am proud of my body. And why did I ever have shame on it? Because I weigh 40 pounds more than I should. Who cares? I'm alive. And so anyway, that just kind of like, I felt like in the hospital when you're in an arcade game, like I'm not a gamer, but like in high school, you're at the Pizza Hut and you're playing Pac-Man or whatever. And I feel like I'm playing this game and like my energy's about to run out. And then you grab the backpack and you put the backpack on in the game and you have your energy restored. And I felt like as I was driving home from the hospital, I just had this image. It's like your energy is going to be restored completely, but times 2. So you're just going to be Keith 2.0. So the potency you had before the accident just got doubled. Mm-hmm. So please go and spread your
joy and happiness.
Yeah, go spread my medicine because I have a lot of medicine to offer and it's pretty potent. And like, why am I just keeping it to myself?
Yeah. I feel the love emanating from you across the screen. When you said, do this, right? Did you mean just go spread love at two times, or did you mean your current profession?
Do this. I think just be me, because when I go places, just people. I don't know, like people like I feel safe when you're in the room, or I feel security, or I feel grounded, or I feel love, or I feel, and that's just me. Or can we say, is it God in me, or is it just me and God, or is it just he, she, they, creator made me this way?
You were given permission somehow to fully express. So are there any rituals or practices in your life now that you go through every morning? Do you still sing or dance to God? Or what does that look like on a daily basis?
Well, I live 1.5 miles away from Venice Beach. So, a nice walk on the beach is nice. I dance four times a week. The funny thing is just like growing up, the things that were told me that are bad or demons could enter you. Like still to this day, there's Christians that think yoga, you'll have demons possess you when you do yoga. And if your pastor says it from the pulpit, really, you're going to believe him? Because he's your pastor? Well, he's probably never stepped a day in a yoga class. What does he know? So, movement, yoga, like, and I did yoga for so long without connecting it to like breath. I just did it like, I'll just stretch. I think when I linked really breathing with the yoga, I'm like, oof, I could really tap into my body. And I think the biggest thing that up until the time when I stopped working for the church was I didn't know what this word embodiment meant. And so I'm like, what is embodiment? So I had a friend that was an embodiment coach and she's like, yeah, we need to get you back touch, and with your healing, your heart, because I don't know. I think just through my life and through my marriage, my heart probably got a little smaller and a little colder and a little harder. And I'm like, how do I thaw out my smaller, colder, smaller heart? And so embodiment just kind of like, whew, just kind of opened me up in a way that like going to church didn't.
Yeah. So I hear a somatic approach is really the biggest way that you pray. Is there anything you would suggest to brave hearts if they're feeling lost in their relationship with God? Like where do they start? Maybe dance.
I'd say like knock and just ask. I think God loves a challenge. So if you just like, as you set your prayer or your intention, just like, speak to me, show me who you are. Put people across my path today that is going to help serve my greater good and help align with my purpose. I pray that a lot. And that happens a lot. Just people cross my path. I'm like, oh my God, I needed to see that person today. And I just kind of expect it now because it's happened so much in my life. So
is there a way that that people can reach you as a sex and happiness coach?
Well, you could go to my website. It's majorchange.co.
So good.
Love it. Oh my gosh, my brave hearts, my heart is just bursting. Like witnessing my dear friend Keith. I'm watching him expand before my eyes.
Yes.
On this podcast. And he is such a testament to the courage that all of us have, that we're willing. Sometimes we might be looking over that diving board, and then sometimes something beyond our control pushes us off of it. And so then the question is what do you do when you're in the air? And what I'm seeing right now is Keith flying. And I'm so proud of you.
I must say, at the beginning of the program, you stated like, at this retreat we went on, we got partnered for this one activity together and we had to share our intention. And I didn't talk to Janelle up until being partnered on this one activity. And I'm like, what is your intention? And she's like, I just want sexual freedom and liberation for Catholics. And I looked at him like, of all people I get paired with, I'm like, yes to that, and I'm like, and you said like, well, my dad was a priest and my mom used to be a nun and they left, the priesthood and the convent to get married. And I gave you that number, 1 + 1 = 3. And you became the 3 to that 1 + 1. And I'm like, wow, it's an honor to meet this magical woman who has a background like this. And so, yeah, we had the same intention. Like, yeah, we hope people do experience freedom and happiness in this area and not shame and condemnation and guilt.
Wow. My mouth literally hurts from smiling. I just like, love you. You're so amazing. Like I just feel so much love coming from you. So like, I really appreciate that. And you've just given me permission to like use dancing and singing as something. I know that I'm going to find a way to weave it a little bit more into my ritual prayer practice. So thank you so much for coming on today. Thanks for being so vulnerable, sharing your story and spreading the love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Brave Hearts, for listening. And we'll see you next time. Keep on loving.
Hey, Bravehearts, looking for permission? Work with us. We offer Braveheart coaching. Follow us on Instagram. Meet us in real life at a Braveheart conversation. Subscribe to our newsletter. Do all this and more at our website, permissiontobehuman.live.